Hey friends, it's Hope, and today I'm here to do a pretty ambitious TBR for November. To get started off with this overly ambitious TBR, I have a book that I got quite a long time ago. Actually, it was one of my thrift store finds. Surprise, surprise. I've heard really great things about this book, and I've actually never heard anything negative about it, and it's about time I picked it up. And it is Poison Study by Maria V. Schneider. I believe this lovely lady right here is actually assigned to taste test all of the king's food and drink and make sure that it is not poisoned. And I think she is tasked to do this because I don't know if she broke the law or got in trouble somehow, but pretty much this is how she's living out her punishment. The next one I have for you, I'm actually surprised I haven't picked it up yet just because of how much I loved the previous book I read by this author, and that author is Kristen Hanna, and I am wanting to read Between Sisters, mostly because I am really missing my sisters right now, and I'm about to see them during Christmas, but that's still a month, pretty much 2 months away since it's at the very end of December. And I'm hoping that this is going to not fill the void that I don't have with my sisters being in my life, but maybe just like hold me over until I see them at the end of December. The next book I have to show you guys, I'm excited to read because it was a Pulitzer Prize winner, I think. Yes, it was. And that is The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde. And I also got this recently in a thrift store over Labor Day weekend, which was the last time I went home. And I've tried to scrub off that annoying crayon that they put on there for a price, and it's almost off. I still have a little bit more scrubbing to do, but yeah. The next book I have to show you is actually by an author that I just previously read 3 of her books last month, and that is Nora Roberts. I read the Innsbruck trilogy, and for the most part, I enjoyed it. The first book was by far the best. So anyways, I have really enjoyed Nora Roberts' writing, and I'm in that mood for a good love story because I just love love. And so I'm definitely going to be picking up The Bride Quartet. This is book 1, and I do own books 2, 3, and 4. I do believe that these books follows 4 friends, and I think that they're all in the wedding business together. And I think maybe one is like the photographer, the other one is event planner, and then so on and so forth. And so each book follows one friend. The next book I have to show you has the most beautiful cover, and you all have probably seen it all over BookTube because it's just been that popular, and I have not read it yet, but that is 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. This is a story about time travel in multiple dimensions. I think that there is some type of a love story that goes along with this. The next book I have to show you has been on my TBR for the last 2 months, and I'm putting my foot down. I will finish this book. You guys are gonna have to hold me to it and keep me accountable. Like, you're gonna have to comment throughout the month and ask me, Hope, have you read this book, or how far are you into it? Because like I said, accountability may be what it takes for me to finish. And that book is The Adoration of Jenna Fox by Mary E. Pearson. I think I recently saw that this is going to be turned into a movie or a TV show. I don't know. I think it was optioned for something recently. If I find anything more about that, I will link that down below in the description box. The next book I have is actually, I think, book 6 in a series, but it's one of those companion novels where I don't think that you really have to start up from book 1, which is good because I'm probably not going to start off from book 1. And the book I'm talking about is The Rescuer by Dee Henderson. This is a random book that I got in the thrift store that was like 4 for $1, and I have just found out that cheesy covers end up being my jam. I usually think I will never read that book because of that awful cheesy cover, but then I finally do, and I love it. And so I'm hoping that turns out to be the case for this book. Hopefully I end up loving it. The next book I have to show you is very heavy, and it has been on my bookshelves for over a year now. And this is just a book that I feel like I just need to read and figure out if I want to keep it on my shelves or if I want to try to donate it or sell it back to my used bookstore when I go home in December, because there are a couple of books that I've been eyeballing there that I would really love some book credit for. So that book is Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler. I have heard mixed reviews about this book, and honestly it's mostly illustrations, and so I think I could fly through this book pretty quickly. So for the last physical book that I have to show you guys, it's kind of like the same thing for Why We Broke Up. I've had this on my shelf for quite some time, not as long as the previous book, but I have never read anything by this author before, and so I want to give it a go, see if it's something that I would love to keep and recommend and let my friends borrow, or if it's one of those ones where it would be better off suited for somebody else to read. And that book is A Doll Baby, and it is by Laura Lane McNeil. This does take place in New Orleans, which is right outside from where I live, and that is what initially intrigued me. I have been loving just the new culture and how things are down in southern Louisiana. It is something completely different from what I've grown up around and what I'm used to, and so I'm really hoping to enjoy this read, but like I said, if not, then I will just try and trade it for some book credit. Alright, so there are actually two books that I either one already have on my Overdrive app, and two, the other one is on hold, but I'm like one position away, and I am definitely hoping to read the one that I currently have on my Overdrive app, and that is Into the Still Blue by Veronica Rossi. This is the third book in the trilogy, and I have no idea why I have not read this yet. I flew through the first two books and I absolutely adore Peregrine. He is such an amazing male character, and I just have such a soft spot in my heart for him. The other book that I have hopefully on my Overdrive app very soon, because there's only one more person ahead of me, is Sweet Temptation by Wendy Higgins. Now, if you guys have been around my channel for a substantial amount of time, about a year ago I started reading these paranormal fiction books. So like the Vampire Academy series, love. The Luck series, love. And then of course the Sweet trilogy. I picked up the Sweet trilogy and absolutely fell in love. The first book was just like a solid, good first read, and honestly for me it just got better and better with the trilogy. I personally was crying tears of joy at the end of that trilogy because how much I was touched on the inside by what these characters went through and just the outcome of what happened at the end of book 3. Can't say anything more because spoilers. But yeah, I just was not expecting to be so moved and touched by this trilogy, and this Sweet Temptation book is actually, I think, the first book told from Kaiden Rowe's point of view. At first, Kaiden was kind of hard to love, but he eventually grew on me. He is that like typical bad boy that kind of has a tender heart that's just kind of hidden and you have to dig really deep to find. But I cannot wait to read from his point of view. I think some of the scenes that we obviously just saw from Anna's point of view is going to be really hilarious to see from his. Well, friends, this has been an extremely long November TBR, and I apologize for that. And actually, I realized I didn't even grab my TBR jar. So hang on just 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, so I am back with my TBR jar, and there's literally 2 slips left in it. I do know that one of them is reread a book, because I remember putting that in there in hopes that I was going to buy Attachments by Rainbow Rowell and reread that, but I didn't buy Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, and there's nothing really on my bookshelf right now that I'm desperately wanting to reread, so if I choose that one, then I'm just not going to complete it. So we'll see what I get. So I did choose the reread a book, and friends, I'm just gonna tell you right now, I'm being straight up and honest. I'm not going to complete this, so we're just gonna throw that out because yeah, that's the TBR jar is just not gonna be completed this month, and I'm okay with that. All right, friends, well, thank you so much for hanging in there and sticking with me. Like I said, this video is way too long, but yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful November reading month. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books and maybe which one was your favorite out of the group that I showed. I hope you guys have the most wonderful day, and I'm sure I will see you guys very soon. Bye.